Nakwang Dalongva, na Candace Samana Yanmatsiwa. Good morning. My name is Candace Samana. I am the tribal liaison here at the Arizona Commerce Authority. Thank you all for joining today's call. We are going to have an opportunity for Crystal Severse, who is on our team, walk everyone through how to submit a challenge through the BEAD challenge process today. I've introduced myself. Go ahead and let the team introduce themselves, and I'm going to go ahead and popcorn over to Erin. She's right next to me.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Candace. My name is Erin Lorandos. I am the Digital Equity Program Manager here at the Arizona Commerce Authority, and I will send it to Sandeep.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Candace. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining this call. My name is Sandy Baumik, State Broadband Director here at Arizona Commerce Authority, and I will popcorn it over to Crystal.
Hey everyone, I'm Crystal Severse. I'm the Broadband Data and GIS Analyst with Arizona Commerce Authority.
I'm last. Hi everyone, my name is Perla Lopez. I'm the Broadband Program Manager with the Arizona Commerce Authority.
And then I don't see them on the call right now, but we do have Vanessa Figueroa, who is our Broadband Grants Program Manager. And then we also have two new hires, which is Jamie Garrett, who is our Senior Broadband Program Manager, and Kelly Crucy, who is our Community Engagement Manager. Two quick announcements before I hand this over to Crystal. We are going to be starting our statewide in-person engagement tour next week. The way that we have it set up is, according to our plan, we want to make sure that we travel throughout the state through this year, reaching out to every community. And we sort of took the state and divided into four. So we're starting up in northern Arizona next week. We've got different engagements that are on our website, but basically we'll be kicking it off in St. John's, going to Show Low, Hopi, and then hopefully joining an engagement opportunity with the Navajo organizations doing broadband work, and then ending it in Flagstaff. So anyone is welcome to attend any of those meetings. Erin is going to be sharing all of the important links in the chat as we go through the webinar today. The other important message is that we are going to have a working group added to the governor's interagency working group committee meetings. So there will be one just for tribes, and that's going to start in April. We'll have times and more details to share with you when we get that information. So thank you all for joining us today. And Crystal, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. So if you haven't attended some of our Navigator training webinars, that's fine, because I'm going to walk you through how to submit a challenge through the Broadband Navigator. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Crystal, I'm sorry. Let me just interject real quick. For everyone who's participating, we do have a Q&A option for this session. We also are recording this for anyone who is missing this opportunity, so that link will be shared. But there is an icon at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. If you click on that, the dialog box will open up and you can go ahead and submit your questions through there. We will try to get to them in an orderly way so that we're not disrupting the flow of the information, but also making sure that we answer questions as we move along. Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder. Okay, just going to double check. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, perfect. So there's two ways that you can get to the Broadband Navigator. You can go to our website, azcommerce.com/broadband. It's going to take you to the broadband page. If you go to BEAD and then go to challenge process, this is where you can find all of the information on the challenge process for Arizona. This link will take you directly to the Broadband Navigator, which is where you can submit challenges. So once I click on that link, it'll take me to the Navigator. The first thing that I see on the map is the state of Arizona. See, at the top right here, we have several tabs. The default is service coverage greater than or equal to 100 by 20. And so these tell you the status of basically the unserved and underserved locations for Arizona. Let's see, so if I can come in here and I can, select each of these boundaries, and it'll tell me different information for these counties. We can also change these boundaries here. So something that we added were the tribal boundaries. So we can see the status of unserved and underserved locations for different tribal areas. Since Navajo Nation is the largest, I'm going to go ahead and play around with that one. So once I click on Navajo Nation, notice that this table here updates as well. So this tells you the status of unserved and underserved locations here. And right here, we have the number of those locations. Next, I'm going to show you how to see the funding for the state. So if I use this toggle right here, I can see the different types of funding for broadband in the state of Arizona. These are all color coded. So notice we have TVCP right here as purple, and we can see RDOF here is green. If I zoom in further, I can see the status of funding at the individual household or address level. I can click on a BSL here. Sorry, this is a broadband serviceable location. We also call these addresses. And I can see the type of fund here and who the awardee was right here. If you need to know more about the different types of broadband funding in Arizona, we've included all of that information in the help section. So if I go to help and select funding layers, this will show you where all of this funding data was collected. I'll just follow RDOF. So this will tell you more about the program RDOF. And if you're interested in downloading some of those shapefiles, you can do so at this page. Okay. So like I was saying, if you click on one of these boundaries, you'll see that this table right here updates with the information for the boundary. Yeah. So for Fort Apache, you can see the total number of broadband serviceable locations right here. You also see these broadband and digital equity indicators. This data comes from the Census Bureau and American Community Service. We know that it's not a very accurate representation of the situation for some of these tribes. So some of the data probably isn't accurate, but these broadband and digital equity indicators will show you different types of data. So if you're not familiar with the American Community Service data, we have information about that in the About page. It'll tell you more about where this information was pulled. And you can, if you're interested and you are, proficient with GIS, you can download those tables for different years and play around with them. Okay. So if you want to search, you can do so with this search bar up here. You can search by address, county, tribe, basically any of these boundaries. We also have census block groups available to search here. And then you'll type in that information. It'll take you to that census block group. Let's see. We will try to search for the address of the Arizona Commerce Authority. So it's how you search for an individual address. let's see, I'm gonna pick on this address right here. So once you select that BSL or the address, the availability data will populate here. So the availability data comes from the FCC. The FCC updates their data every 2 weeks, and this navigator uses the most current data from the FCC. So CostQuest data, Fabric version 3, and FCC BDC data as of March. So for this location here, providers have reported that these types of services are available here. As I already mentioned, funding, if there are any types of broadband funding, those will be populated here. Our office is aware of an issue with the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program. That this data was given to us by NTIA. We've already flagged several issues with it, and we're actively working on correcting it. But if you find that there's an issue with a location that is inaccurately reflecting broadband funding that shouldn't be, you can submit a challenge. But just know that there will be an opportunity after the challenge process to clean up these data sets. Okay. So if you are interested in, changing the base map, you can do so right here. This might be easier for you to tell what types of buildings these are. This building right here is a non-residential building. And we can see that based on the FCC's data right here. Let's see. Let's say I'm at this location and I'm just a regular user using this map and I want to take a speed test. I can do so right here. When you take a speed test, make sure that you are at the location that you're currently at. So right now I would be right here. I'll select take a speed test, and then I'll check if any of these apply to me. So if I'm on a VPN, if I'm on a mobile or wireless network, or if I'm using my network to stream videos or for gaming, I'll select these if they apply. If not, you can go ahead and proceed with the speed test. So this will take a couple of seconds to collect that data. So what we're looking for speed is that the download speed is above 20 megabytes per second and upload speed is above 100 megabytes per second. We're also measuring latency here. So once the speed, for right now you can tell that my speeds are greater than 100 by 20. So it's not going to prompt me for any additional information. But if my speeds were not, or my latency was not, above the threshold, it would ask me to submit my email. The reason for that is because we have to collect 3 speed tests on different days to have a legitimate challenge. So if the speed does not meet the appropriate threshold, the navigator will ask you for your email. You'll have your community members put in that email that they use, and the navigator will send them a reminder email to take additional speed tests. Community members are also able to report service issues. For example, if their service provider has a data cap, they can submit that issue here. They need to fill out all of the information. They'll need to include what provider they subscribe to. And if this is their property, they'll need to read and ensure that all of this is correct and certify that it's correct. Then they have the opportunity to upload any of these file types. So this is important. Say a provider does have a data cap, they can take a screenshot of that, include it here, and they have evidence for a challenge. So anybody can take a speed test or report a service issue. These are then collected by our pass-through. So there is someone that ensures that all of the speed tests and service issues get challenged and reported to our office. And they've already been identified and given that pass-through designation. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to show you how to register for this portal. To register, you'll go to sign in, and then you'll request a new account. You'll fill out this information. Right here, it'll ask you to choose what type of organization, or excuse me, it'll ask you what for your organization name. You can select from the drop-down. If you don't see your organization name, you can go to other and then type in your organization. If you have multiple people in your organization that want to participate in the challenge process, they're more than welcome to do so. Just make sure that they all use the same organization name. Then you'll go ahead and send that request to our office. It's easier for our office to validate requests if you use your government, your county or city email. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to submit a challenge. See, to submit a challenge, you'll need to go to the address level. You'll select on the address that you want to challenge. And then you'll come here to where it says submit a challenge. So my recommendation when you're submitting challenges is to have our volume 1 handy to review. So our volume 1 is found on our website. Right here under challenge process resources. Our approved volume 1 is right here. So volume 1, we have this subsection right here, requirement 7, about the challenge process. If you navigate there, you can find detailed information on what are permissible challenges. This table here. So if I'm interested in what would be evidence for an availability challenge, I can find that in volume 1. So if I'm referencing this, I know that an availability challenge is that a broadband service is not actually offered at this location. And so if I have, and I can also reference volume 1 to see what kind of evidence that our office would accept as evidence for this. So when you fill out the challenge, you'll want to include the provider, the reason, and what type of property this is. You also want to certify that all of this information is correct. And then go to next. Here, you can upload evidence. So we've expanded the type of evidence that will allow from PDF to also JPEGs and CSV files. So you'll choose the type of evidence, attach that here, and click submit. Once you select submit, you'll see a green message here that says challenge submitted. To submit a bulk challenge, the process is a little bit different. So to submit a bulk challenge, you'll go to this icon right here, the little pencil. You'll draw a polygon around the area that you want to submit a bulk challenge for. It'll tell you the number of locations that you've selected, and then it'll allow you to submit a challenge. So these are the types of bulk challenges that our office will allow. So you'll fill out this information here. Certify that this is correct, and select next. Here you'll upload evidence for this bulk challenge. A caveat for a bulk challenge is that this challenge must be basically for each BSL that you've selected. So if you've incorrectly, selected a BSL, we might have to throw out that challenge and ask you to resubmit it, only selecting the BSLs that you intended to challenge. This is really important for our office to make sure that your challenges are valid and that they can be accepted. Okay, so once you've submitted the challenges, you'll be able to use the challenge dashboard. I should have made it a test account for this situation, but I can't show you it from my Arizona Commerce Authority user, because then you'll see everybody's challenges. But once you and your organization start submitting challenges, you can go to the challenge dashboard and it'll show you the status of your challenges. All right. I think that was all I intended to show you today. Do we have any questions?
So Crystal, let me see if I can kind of help everybody who joined kind of walk through sort of very high level what you just explained, because I know that might seem like it was a little fast. There's a lot of information. There was a lot of acronyms, things that, may slow people down in understanding this full process. But the first thing that tribes should do is, if they're going to submit a challenge process, we know that the only people that can submit, right, for the challenge process are the tribal leaders, their hired consultants, or tribal nonprofits, right? So that's the first step. You have to be one of those individuals. Then you can go and create an account in the portal. And then once you're in the portal and you've got your own dashboard, then you'll be able to look at your respective tribal area, and you can look and identify what areas you may want to challenge that are within your tribal land, within those tribal boundaries. And this feature will help people see where those different service areas are, the donuts, I think is what they were called, right? That outline, okay, this is where there are underserved or unserved households that lie within those boundaries. Then once they've identified that, I mean, some of our tribes have their own internal data, so they're going to be reconciling that with what they have, right? Once they've determined that they want to submit a challenge, then they have to refer to the volume 1 of the initial proposal, which I believe Aaron has put in the chat. Then they have to look at the 11 different challenge types that are permissible. So then they've got to spend some time determining, what type of challenge this is. Is it availability? Is it speed? What if it's availability and speed? Is there a preference over which challenge they should submit at that point? Can you submit 2 challenges, identified challenge types for that one area?
Great question. Yes, you can submit multiple challenges for a single area, or
Okay.
a single, I should say, address. So if the issue is speed, well, an availability challenge is that the service provider says that they offer a service here, but they actually don't. So if that's the case, and we've seen this in other states too, you can go to that service provider's webpage, take a screenshot that they will not install service here, or that they don't offer service here. And that would be evidence for your availability challenge. If a service provider is there and you are subscribed to them, then you can take a speed test. And if that speed test does not meet the 100/20 threshold, that will trigger a speed test challenge. Similarly, if a service provider claims that they exceed or they provide low latency, and you take the speed test and the ping shows that that's not the case, then that will trigger a latency challenge.
Candace, I just want to chime in and convey something. By the way, great summary of the whole presentation, Candace. So thank you so much for that. The challenge is allowed for all the eligible entities in tribal land. That means if an ISP wants to submit a challenge process on a tribal land and they have handful of evidence that what they're submitting is the right category of the challenge and they have the supporting document, a non-tribal entity can also submit challenge on tribal land. So there is no restriction there. Only thing the restriction is we have local government or units of local government and tribal government, non-profit entities all across the country as far as they have 501(c) approval, and the third category is the ISPs that include tribal ISP, non-tribal ISP. Anyone is interested in those areas, they can submit a challenge process. Also, I want to highlight something for the tribes. I know this is so much information to consume in one presentation. This is our presentation round 3, but I want to summarize a really fundamental thing. We know and we do know that, and we understand tribe has been here in Arizona is long unserved. So there is probably in most of the tribes, we can say that there is no viable ISPs. So there is no provider. If there is no provider, no one is providing any service there. Technically, you don't have to submit any challenge. If it's already unserved or underserved in the map, when you click on the addresses, you're already eligible for BEAD funding. So I would highly recommend not to worry about that part. Like where Crystal is currently, zooming in. See, this is unserved. And however, look at the caveat here. There is a rural connectivity program. So that means there is a federal funding or a federal commitment right here. Now, if that federal funding or federal commitment was applied without your consent as a tribal government, you have full right to deny that funding. That we definitely need to know. So there are some fundings in some tribal areas, especially RDOF CAF 1 or CAF 2. I would highly recommend the tribes to go filter by the tribal boundaries, go in and see that which other federal funding you have. If that was not applied by you and you didn't have any knowledge or you don't want that particular ISPs, you can definitely reach out to us and submit that challenge as a not an enforceable commitment category, and we'll be able to work with you on that and make sure those areas are open for BEAD funding. So that's a very significant step for Arizona tribes to take, because without rejecting or accepting those funding, we won't be able to fund those areas of those households using BEAD funding. So that's a very, very crucial step. So I just wanted to highlight that for our tribal stakeholder.
Thank you, Sandeep. And I also think it's important to let everybody know on the call that we encourage them to get the proof or the evidence that they're planning to submit with their challenge, have that before you go to actually submit your challenge, because you can't exit out and have your information saved. You basically have to start over. So it's better to, look at the volume 1 challenge types and determine which one, you're going to challenge on. Look at the list of permissible evidence and then get that evidence ready to go before you actually log into the portal to submit your challenge. It'll just make things easier. Otherwise, you may have to step away and do something on the side and then save it to upload it. So just to kind of help you make that a little bit easier on that end.
Also, just want to add one more thing. If you are not fully sure that who already have some kind of commitment, if there is an ISP already providing received federal funding to build on tribal lands or specifically your tribe, please feel free to let us know. But the best way to do, I don't have the map in front of me, but Crystal, if you don't want to go all the way in our map, there are multiple ways to do that. You can log in into our map and click on the BSL to see which areas are funded. Crystal, can you show everyone the federal funding layer? Or any other state funding layer. So if you go into the BSL level, so you have to zoom in all the way in the hexagon, and then you have to make sure that the federal funding layer is on. So Crystal, can we go back to our navigator? And then let's make sure the funding is on. Yes. So scroll in all the way. So click on that address. So as you can see, it says the Rural Connectivity Program. So the data of the provider was not given to us by NTIA. So we are basically using the NTIA data analytics format here. But if you want to know more about it, so you can go to the FCC map. So Crystal, let's switch on the FCC map. So this is the FCC federal funding map. So let's search with that same address, Crystal. Or click on any of those locations. Yep, so it seems like it was awarded a rural connectivity program, and it was a fiber project. So and if you click on that blue like program name, so it shows that who actually received those funding, how much was the funding amount, when it was last updated, under which funding they received, all these dollars and everything else. So all the information. So this might be helpful. This is a very important step to make sure that tribes are claiming the dollars they need to receive to achieve the 100% connectivity on tribal land. So make sure you are checking. There are some federal funding which was granted here in Arizona on tribal lands without the consent from the tribes. So it would be really helpful for you and for the State Broadband Office to check those and let us know. And if you are not fully sure how to go through this process, please feel free to book an office hours with us, and we'll be happy to navigate you through this process.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks for the clarification on who can submit for the challenge process too. That's very important. I don't see any questions in our Q&A box. Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot of information. We do have the link for the office hours in the chat. The office hours allow you to sign up for a block of time to talk to, I believe it's either Crystal, Perla, or Sandeep about questions on how to access and navigate the portal, the technical side of making sure that you can submit the challenge that you want to. I'm still not seeing anything in the Q&A. I think the only other important note to make is that you have until May 14th to submit your challenge process. So that gives tribes time to, get onto the portal, register, and, look at all of your specific areas that you might have some questions on, but you have until May 14th. We don't recommend that you wait until then. We encourage everyone that can and who is eligible to go ahead and register so they have access. But we will be taking the challenges that are submitted up till May 14th. After that, the information goes back to the federal government, and they basically reconcile what the final mapping data is going to look like. And then, like Sandeep said, there's still going to be a period in there where they're going to make some corrections to some of the data that they already know is not identified correctly. And I think Crystal showed you an example of that earlier with the TBCP funding showing up in certain areas where it wasn't is not correct. We are going to go ahead and just allow our new team members to quickly introduce themselves. You will also see them out time and again through our engagement process. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Jamie, if you want to introduce yourself. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Garrett. I will be the program manager for the BEAD program, and I'll be working closely with Crystal and Sandeep there. So I look forward to working with everyone.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kelly Crucy. I am the new Community Engagement Manager, and I'm really thrilled to be here and participate in the conversations and listen and learn. And that's it. Good morning.
Thank you. I'm still not seeing any questions in our Q&A, so I'm going to make sure that we give you back 20 minutes of your time. Want to thank you for joining us today, but also let you know that anyone is welcome to come out to these engagement meetings that we are having next week. If you could put that in the chat also, Erin. On the website, it's under the Connecting Arizona Engagement Tour, but we will be kicking off the event in St. John's. And you can follow the link there for all the information, including the times and the locations. We are going to have another engagement specifically on Navajo Nation. We are working on that right now. There were some scheduling conflicts, but we understand and know that Navajo Nation is one of the largest tribal reservations in the country. So we want to make sure that we're getting out there also. So we'll share more details about that. We do have one question. We're going to go ahead and go to that question now. So it's from Marty, Pretends Eagle. Crit is a two-state tribe, Arizona and California, with 3 counties. Will Crit California side count for BEAD through the challenge?
Great question, Marty. Yes, so that would be a challenge to California Broadband Office, not us. So we will accept any challenge here and on the Arizona side, and the Arizona side of the CREED boundary would be its separate project area. So every financials, every grants, engineering design we will work with you on will be completely focused on the Arizona side. That includes challenge process or any other future grants we'll be working together on.
Good question, Marty. Carol Onse asked, would build out areas utilizing USDA I think we need to, that might be an incomplete question right now.
Carol, I think I got a sense of your question. If you are asking if the USDA areas are going to be eligible for BEAD funding, if that USDA funded area is fiber to home project or other reliable broadband delivery as per the standard here in Arizona Commerce Authority, meaning it has to be fiber to home or cable, including fiber middle mile, or it's a fixed wireless license delivery, and it's delivering over 100 by 20, then it will not be eligible for BEAD funding. However, if it's delivering less than that, it will be eligible for BEAD funding to upgrade that network. Also, to take a deeper dive on that, suppose if it's a fiber network, you are building using USDA dollars, but because of the USDA guideline or USDA broadband nutrition level, the threshold was set on 25 by 3. But we all know that a fiber network can perform way better than that if all the middle mile piece and all the electronics are put together in the right way. So we will work in case by case basis to make sure if it's meeting the BEAD requirement, those areas will be off limit from the BEAD funding. I shouldn't say areas, those broadband serviceable locations will be off limit from the BEAD funding.
Thank you, Sandeep. And then we got a follow-up question from Marty. It says, thank you. What about Spectrum 2.5 gigahertz? Can BEAD reimburse those funds for those builds?
Yes, it can. So 2.5 gig is licensed fixed wireless. So yes, BEAD dollar can be used to build that network.
Okay. Great. I don't see any new questions coming in. All right. Again, thank you everyone for joining us this morning for today's webinar. This has been recorded, so we will be sharing out that link when it becomes available. We have our office hours if you want to sign up for one-on-one conversation for technical assistance to get guidance through the challenge portal and the whole process itself. We've got the engagement tour happening next week, and then we'll be making our way around the state. So we'll be hitting the Apache tribes and the surrounding local communities in the second quarter, and then moving farther down into like Donaʻatam and that area, including the Cochise, and then we'll end up at in the Pies and at Fort Mojave later on towards the end of the year. So we're going to get out with respect to tribal communities. We're going to make sure that we're accessible to every tribal community throughout this process. So just please continue to stay engaged. Thank you for joining. And always feel free to reach out to me. Of course, I'm the tribal liaison for the broadband team, but we have an amazing team of experts here that have knowledge to help answer any questions that you have. We'll see you out on the engagement tour if you're going to be there, and we'll look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.
We did get one more question from Marty. Sorry, it just popped in. Marty asks, will we be at NTTA?
Ooh, that's a good question. Thanks, Marty. We actually will be. We're going to be sharing a breakout meeting room with a couple of other states. And what that means is we will have allotted time where tribes will be able to sign up for office hours in person. And we will make that information available as soon as we confirm that, what times we are going to be allotted for. So we'll follow up, but thanks, Marty. Good question. We'll see you there at NTTA. And I think that is going to wrap it up. Thank you again for joining. We're going to give you 15 minutes of your time back. Have a great morning, everyone. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.